Good morning, and welcome to our morning conversation. This week's preaching lesson is about Daniel in the lion's den, a familiar story that's often used to illustrate faithfulness in the face of pressure and danger, trusting in God to see us through difficult or uncertain times, and God's ability to rescue and save. So I wanted to talk a little bit to my friend here today about a story that she has that illustrates that. Deb, obviously, I know who you are and how you're connected to Trinity, but why don't you introduce yourself for people who might not know you and tell us a little bit about how you're connected to Trinity.
Sure. So my name is Deb Pensinger, and I'm Pastor Matt's wife. So I've been at Trinity since he was called there in January of 2016. We attend fairly regularly. I am involved with as one of the teachers of the 4- and 5-year-olds for Rock. I enjoy participating in some of the different activities that Trinity offers, including the women's group that meets once a year. We've enjoyed some of the family activities that we're able to do with our daughter Mara, who's in 5th grade this year. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. So you have a story about trusting in God even through difficult or uncertain times recently, really. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, my story is probably not unfamiliar to a lot of people, but I was just going to talk today a little bit about how I felt starting back to work in August as a teacher during this COVID-19 pandemic. And so way back in March 13th was our last day of school, last school year when the pandemic first kind of came here to the United States. And we shut down very quickly. And at that point, we didn't know what was going to happen, but we ended up being away from school for the rest of that school year and just kind of doing our best to teach and learn online. And then throughout the summer, of course, the big question was, well, what's going to happen when we start back to school for the next school year? And we really didn't know and, weren't sure what was going to happen. And I wasn't sure how I felt about, not knowing. And I also wasn't sure what I felt about what was going to end up actually happening. And so about midway through the summer, it became clear that our school district and the school district where Mara went, and many of the school districts in our area, most of them, we're going to plan to go back to school. And my school district was planning to go back pretty much full-time, 100%. We weren't kind of breaking the kids up into half and half groups. They were going to offer the opportunity for anyone who wanted to learn from home to learn from home. So we weren't going to have our full number of students that we would have in a normal year, but we were going to have probably most of them. And so learning that back in August was kind of a scary thing, that I was going to be, for the first time since March, for the first time ever in a pandemic, I was going to be faced with going into a place full of people.
Yeah.
And it was going to be new and different, and I was going to be responsible for the health and safety of all the kids that were coming into my classroom.
Yeah.
And I teach high school, so I have several different groups of students that come into my classroom throughout the day.
Right.
And so, going back to school at first in August, we had a week where it was just staff. And so that was kind of a chance to sort of get settled into the idea of being back into the real world again, like wearing
Right.
clothes other than just my t-shirts and yoga pants and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a good week. We got used to being around other people, but not being too close to them, which is, a challenge in school that we're, still working on. And, it's getting even more and more important as our numbers get higher and higher. But then the kids came, and it actually went a lot better at first than I think I expected it to. Mm-hmm. I was very nervous for a lot of reasons. I was nervous about everyone's health, including my own. I was nervous about getting COVID and bringing it home to my family. Mm-hmm. I was nervous about making sure that my students were safe, but also that I was providing them with, the education and the opportunities to do biology things that they deserved to have in the classroom. Yeah. And I also this year have to not only teach the kids that come into my class, but teach kids that opted to stay home and learn from home. And so I also have a responsibility to them, and that's a new and hard thing to figure out how to connect with them digitally.
Right.
So throughout this month or several months that we've been back since August, there have been a lot of challenges both with the kids in school and figuring out how to best teach them and keep them safe, and then how to best connect with the kids who are at home.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of anxiety for me.
Sure.
But I think that it's just kind of what's helped us to get through is the fact that the staff that I work with is extremely supportive. And our administration this year has been very supportive and has told us that, you know, it's okay to try things and fail at them, and you're not going to be penalized if you kind of go out on a limb to try something that you think is going to work and it ends up not working the first time, or you need to figure out ways to make it better, that's okay. Right. And so that's been good. Yeah. And all the new things that I've learned how to do, the technology things. So just, even though it's been hard, it's been very hard, and it's been anxiety inducing, just trusting that people are going to have our backs and that we're all kind of there for each other and God's with us has been what's gotten us through.
It sounds like, I mean, one of the things that has helped is a sense in your school building that you're all in this together, that you know, everybody's kind of trusting each other to do the right things, from the administration to the staff to the kids. It's easy to say, oh, trust in God. Like, God is sort of, it's easy to get ourselves to the place to trust in God, but one of the things about being faithful people in the world is that it involves trusting other people. You know, part of trusting in God is trusting in other people, and that's harder sometimes, you know, that's people, God, it's easy to say God is completely trustworthy. It's harder to look at other people and say, are you completely trustworthy? But it sounds like you're really getting, the people that you work with are, you know, proving themselves worthy of trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Good. It really helps when we face these challenges in life to know that we have each other's backs, like you said, and we're on the same team, and we're all sort of pulling in the same direction. And I think that a lot of our schools are good examples of that in this pandemic time. And I hope that that attitude and that spirit, because I really think it's a spirit from God, I hope that spreads more and more in our society. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today, Deb. And, you know, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and I hope you have a great day.
Yep,
Take care.
You too.
Hi.
Bye, Mara.